Adjusterpedia.com.
Hey guys, this is Mark from Adjusterpedia.com. Today what I'd like to do is take a look at an email that you would get from whatever firm you happen to be working for when you get a new claim in. This is going to be somewhat generic because almost every firm does things a little different, so I'm just kind of throwing some stuff together here. And this will hopefully at least give you a better idea how to look at these and what you're looking for in the email. And you'll always notice, first of all, it's going to come from Exact Analysis. And that's assuming it's an Xactimate type claim, which is most of the time they will be. So you'll notice at the top they'll have the contact name and information. This happens to be for Andrew Jackson, and it shows here that it's a hail claim, and then it's going to say the adjuster's name here, and then the IA firm, whether that's Allcat or Worley or just anybody, whoever. And then down here, as we work our way down, we've got the insurance company will be on this line, so it might say AAA or whoever. Then it's going to have your name here, and then the IA firm again, which could be whoever. In the assignment profile, we have some generic information. We've got the date of loss, which is a very important thing because the only things you can cover on that specific claim that you turn in are going to be the things that occurred on that specific date of loss. So if somebody had some damage from a previous storm, whether it be something ripped off the house or a water stain, you can't actually put that on this claim. They would need to make another claim in most cases and turn it in and then incur another deductible. It's kind of the normal system. Next thing down, we've got the policy number, self-explanatory, member's name, evening phone, mobile phone. You're going to generally have a couple of options here, 2, 3 phone numbers, and that way when you get this claim, it will most of the time want you to contact them within the first 24 hours. Next thing is the email address. Sometimes you can use these if, for whatever reason, the phone numbers are bad. I've had luck emailing the people. A lot of times somebody will have changed numbers and forgot to tell the insurance company, but their email address tends to stay the same. Okay, the next one down is type of loss, and in this case it's a hail claim, and this can be important. If, for instance, let's say this were a wind claim, and you were to go out to this property and you were to start finding hail, well, in some cases, they won't let you cover that. You kind of need to know how the company you're working for works. They vary, but I've run into many cases where I'll go out and find hail on a wind claim, and they just won't cover it. They'll say, obviously, this hail is from a different date, because this is a wind claim. They turned it in as such, and had they seen hail, they would have mentioned it. Next thing down is the XAID, that's Xactimate ID. Then we got the location of the property, pretty self-explanatory. That's where it is. Now the instructions through here, the line of business, basically this will be homeowners or it might be renters or just whatever, but that gives you an idea. And the only important thing I've found on a rental insurance policy, typically they won't have coverage for contents or personal items, that type of thing. The renters generally will have their own policy for that, and the landlord wouldn't have any reason to have that particular coverage because they don't live there. Next thing down is the policy form, preferred protection plan. This is kind of boilerplate. It depends on the company. Moving down, we have the contract type, and this just tells whether it's a rental insurance or a homeowners or just what type they have exactly, flood, whatever. This is the type of insurance. The loss description. These things vary. Sometimes they're close, sometimes they're not even in the neighborhood, but like this is kind of typical, and it's silly, but it is actually somewhat typical. It's not uncommon for the contractors to go knocking on doors if there's a big storm in the area and they've had a lot of roofs that they've been selling in the neighborhood. Most of the time they're going to try to knock on that door and get that guy to buy as well. So we'll move on down. The types of structures involved. This one says additional structures. Normally speaking, it's going to say dwelling, comma, additional structures, and then it might even have contents or personal items. It might say that as well. You kind of want to pay attention to this because that'll give you an idea. If it doesn't say additional structures, it doesn't mean there's not fences or other structures, barns or whatever. But a lot of times it's somewhat accurate, so it gives you an idea whether or not you're going to need to climb up on a barn or something as well as the main structure. This is a loss email addresses next. Sometimes companies will have this, and this will be a direct email address assigned to this claim specifically. So sometimes I'll give this to the contractor and say, if you need to turn in a supplement or whatever, and you want to get a hold of the guy directly responsible for this claim, here's the email address. Send your stuff to there, and you'll get the best response. Um, the structure is dwelling. That just means that's their house. The year it was built. This is important because a lot of companies will want you to add this to your general loss report, which is the report you fill out, generally speaking, that goes along with your claim. The footage of the risk, and the risk being the house. So this one shows it's 54,900 feet, and it's a 3-story building. That's the number of stories. Roof type, this is important. This is fiberglass. This way you know when you go out if this says concrete or it says metal or it says anything. Sometimes it'll say tar and gravel. You got all these different styles of roofs, and so you kind of know what you're walking into if you look at this. Now, admittedly, every now and then you'll run into one that used to be, say, a wood shake, and now you get out there and they've changed it, and that's always a blessing. You don't want to do a wood shake roof if you have an option. Next, we go down legal name, loss of location, country, deductible type. This is DWD for dwelling, wind, and hail. His deductible for wind and hail is 1%. And if you recall looking up here, this type on this one was hail. So that's which deductible will apply to this one. So they're going to have a 1% deductible. So what you would need to do then, if you're needing to know what that deductible is, you walk down here to the dwelling coverage, and he has 3.4 million plus or minus on that. And so you can move your decimal point over 2 spots, and then that's going to give you, for 1%, and that's going to give you $34,000 deductible, which is pretty steep, but apparently he's got a nice house. If you look down here, this is the deductible type dwelling other. This just is for specific scenarios that are not related to wind or hail. So let's say they had a bathtub overflow, that of course would be other. And in this case, he has a 1%, but in a lot of cases, I see the dwelling other might be just a flat fee of $1,000, or it could be anything. And then here are the coverage types. I'm not sure why these always say none for me, but they always do, because you can see the dwelling coverage here is 3.4 million, and then their personal property, they have 1.3 million. And then over here, their apparatus structures, which is also another way of saying their other structures, say their barns, their sheds, their fences, they have $343,000. And what that typically is by default in many insurance companies is it's just 10% of their dwelling coverage. Now that doesn't always, because some people will have a nice, they'll have a shed or an outbuilding that's twice the size of their house, so they might bump this up to offset that for their personal needs. And so any of these can vary. And so that's basically an overview of the email itself. Let me reiterate by saying many companies do slightly different. Don't expect everything to be the same here, but it's a good overview and to get you started. This video will be part of a larger series where we're going to try to put together an entire scope from beginning to end for you, just so you have every step of the way, hopefully help you out. Be sure to take a look in the description for more videos and playlists in our step-by-step claims process series. If you subscribe to the Adjusterpedia channel and leave me a comment below letting me know that you did, I will send you an updated list of over 70 IA firms in the United States with websites, physical address, and phone numbers so you can get on their deployment lists and start getting paid.